Welcome to Rosberry Crafts, my YouTube channel where I share all my crafty adventures. Today is May the 21st, 2021. It is a Friday again, so I'm at home today. My husband is also at home, and the kids are at school, so hopefully not too many interruptions. We'll see. I live in Lake Country, BC, Canada, with my husband, who I just mentioned, and my two kids, who are 11 and 9. Today, for you, I have What Am I Wearing?, Works in Progress, Next on My Needles, and some chatter. I hope you enjoy. First up, what am I wearing? Today, I am wearing the Pebble Beach Shawl by Helen Stewart. This is made out of a yarn that I purchased off a friend of mine, and it's Yarn Indulgence is the brand, and Indulgence MCN fingering in Orchid. So the MCN is the merino cashmere nylon, which is the same, I'm not sure if it's exactly the same, but the same type of base that the gauge dye works, the one that I was wearing last week, and I really like the MCN base for shawls. A, the nylon is good and helps it keep a structure. B, cashmere, need I say more? And merino, also super soft. So I love this yarn. This is not a color that I typically draw towards, but now that I have it in my rotation, I find that I'm like, okay, what can I buy? What t-shirts they need to go with my Pebble Beach shawl? So this is like a crescent shaped shawl, and then the ends do this kind of twisty thing, and it just fits so nicely. It just hangs. The gauge was just right. I did make one mistake, which of course only I'll notice, but at the bottom here I did stockinette when you're supposed to do garter, and then I switched to garter, so sometimes it gets a little flipped up, but most of the time it's good. And it's super easy to put on and keep on and wear all day long. Helen Stewart is a prolific designer. She does the shawl mystery clubs and sock mystery clubs. She does an advent thing every year, Knitvent I think it's called. She has so many wonderful patterns, and if you looked on Ravelry, I have favorited so many of them, and I want to knit more. I love the way that she does her patterns, that she lays it out, and she has like a counter thing, so you know what percentage you are through the pattern, so you can make sure you have enough yarn, and so you know how much knitting is left on it. Like, it's just so good. So I highly recommend her shawl patterns and her socks and all her patterns. And they're great for beginners, or that she has like tons of like more complicated stuff, and just great. Just love her. This was made in 2017, so just a few years ago. Yeah, I have like, I want to say a third, maybe even close to half. Ooh, that was close. My device just fell down. And it's very bright outside, so I'm just like blinking and things are falling. Always excitement over here. Anyway, as I was saying, I have like between half and a third of a ball left. I'd have to weigh it, but I'm saving it for like something really special. I don't know. I really like this yarn, and I want to use up all of it. But there we go. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Maybe I'll put it in some socks. Scrappy socks. I love scrappy socks. So that's it for What Am I Wearing? This week, I do not have any finished objects, but that's okay because it's only been a week since I put up the last recording, so that's all right. And we are on to Works in Progress. So I still do have 3 works in progress. The first one are my Twinkle Socks, and I'm not even going to show them to you because I haven't touched them other than opening the bag 2 weeks ago when I recorded. So, you know, nothing has happened on those. They will still happen. They will. But I I am solely addicted to my sweater right now. Next up is the Dream Fingerless mitts, and I did make a little bit of progress on them because as much as I am enjoying the sweater knitting, I just wasn't sure that I wanted to take all of that camping. So I don't know how much you can see of this, but I got a good inch done, and that's for the thumb gusset, the ribbing there. And yeah, I'm happy with my progress on these, and he really wants them still, so I really need to get on these. But like I said before, I'm enjoying the sweater knitting. So these are the Dream Fingerless mitts by Marsha Healy. I always forget her last name. To me, she's just Marsha. She's my friend Marsha that lives down in Penticton. She also has a podcast, if you're interested. It's called Fairy, like the little pixie fairy things. And she has quite a few designs. I test knit these. So you would have seen a pair of teal gloves, fingerless mitts. They're not gloves, they're fingerless mitts. And I really like the pattern. This yarn is, sorry, my thing has fallen down, so now I've laid it down, but it's harder to read, so I'm just gonna have to look. It's Knit Pick Stroll in the Sprinkle Heather colorway, which when you look at it up close is speckled reds and blues, and when you see it like this, it's purple. So it's really cool how they've done that. I don't know if it's like the different plies or how they dyed it like this, but it's really cool yarn. It's really soft, so I think he'll really like those. They're nice and thin, but they'll be warm when he's playing video games in the winter in the basement. So gonna make some progress on these in the next couple weeks, and that's it for that one. I said all the details. So my last work in progress is my flax sweater. It's going to be difficult to show you, but I will try my best. Okay. Right now, it just looks like a big ball of loveliness. Where's the back? Let's see. See if I can, okay. So, I've gotten quite a bit of the body done. I decided to take a break from the body and work on the sleeves. Not because I think I'm gonna run out of yarn, but I don't like to have too much body done when I'm doing the sleeves because you have to flip them and flip them and flip them and turning it around. And I decided to do the sleeves 2 at a time. Now, last night I was frantically trying to finish the sleeves so I'd be able to show you them today. But you know what? Sometimes you're just too tired, and that's okay. They will get done soon. I've got just under an inch done of the ribbing, maybe half an inch of the ribbing, and you need 1.5 inches, so I'll definitely finish the sleeves today. This sweater is a bit oversized, and I did the sleeves at a bracelet length because what happens when I'm wearing a sweatshirt or anything around the house is I end up folding the cuffs or shoving the cuffs up because I don't like them on my hands when I'm doing stuff around the house like dishes or laundry or even knitting. I find they get in the way. So I did make them more of a bracelet length, and so this is going to be my cozy sweater that's oversized and I can wear with tights, and it's going to be just great. So there are the sleeves. Let's see, can I turn this whole thing around? Okay. So my trick for the decreases is I take all of these stitch markers, and on the first time I do a decrease, I have all of these stitch markers on this stitch marker. And I got this from Jasmine of the Knitmore Girls. I did not make it up myself. And then every time you do a decrease, you take one off and hook it on the decrease. And then you know exactly how many decreases you've done. You don't have to search back in your work. You don't have to write them down on a pattern. It's right on your knitting, right there. And then it's all done properly. And because I did them 2 at a time, they are done the same. So the sleeves match. It was a bit of a pain, especially when the sleeves were much closer together, to knit them 2 at a time. But I have a terrible habit of not having my sleeves match, and one of them has the decreases here and one of them has the decreases here. And so instead of getting frustrated and having to redo it 3 times, I just thought, you know what, I'm going to take my time, I'm going to do them 2 at a time, and I think they're turning out great. So those are almost done, and then I still have the body, and I have a ball of yarn tucked in the body because it's still attached, but it keeps it out of the way of these other 2 yarns, so I don't have 3 yarns kind of hanging out. Yeah, so, and I just, I'll finish off the body. I haven't decided how long I'm going to make it yet, but we'll see how many balls of yarn I have left and see how far I can make it and make it a bit longer so I can like wear it with tights or jeans or whatever, which is pretty much all I wear. So that is my flax. To give you the details of it, it's the Flax by Tin Can Knits. Which is a wonderful pattern. They also have a flax light if you're looking for a fingering weight version of the same sweater. It's a great basic sweater that you can, you know, if you know what your gauge is, then you can pretty much knit any weight of yarn between these 2 patterns. They have a huge range of sizes, which is really nice, and they've done that for all of their patterns. They have so many great patterns. And the yarn is Loops and Thread. Impeccable tweed, and this color is called the Aran tweed, and it's a cream. It's not a white, it's definitely a cream, with specks of dark brown and light brown, and there are actually specks of white in it too. I don't know if you can, there's one right there, but anyway, so I think that's all the details for that sweater, so we'll move on to next on my needles. Next on my needles. So many things, so many plans. So first up, I still want to participate in the Happy Knitting Cardi Make Along, which is Happy Cardi Mal if you're looking for the hashtag. My plan, I think I've decided that I'm going to make the R&R hoodie by Tanis Lavely, and I've got some knit picks. I don't remember what it is. I'll put it right here along with everything else I talk about today. It's a worsted weight acrylic, part wool, and I've made a sweater out of it before. I can't remember if I've showed it on the podcast. It's like a purple and gray stripe. I think I did, because I talked about the sleeves. Anyway, I'm gonna make the R&R hoodie, and I probably won't finish it during the make along, but I'm gonna start it for sure. Sure. So that's what I've decided for that one. It is currently happening, and I think it ends at the end of June, which is not that far away. It's only like 6 weeks. Anyway, so that's the first thing that I'm contemplating on. The second is I have a couple knit-alongs coming up that I participate in every year. The first one is Stash Dash, hosted by Laura and Leslie from the Knit Girls. They also have a YouTube channel. And this year, it's going to be hosted on a website, which also has an app called Discord. So this is basically a way for you to communicate with many people, and it's an alternate way to participate in this from Ravelry. So because Ravelry is having accessibility issues for some people, they've decided to do it on Discord this year. There will still be the different categories. So basically, you set yourself a goal of what you would like to accomplish. And you don't have to set this goal until you've actually finished, or you're almost finished, the knit along. The words are not working. So basically you can, I think the lowest is 1.5 kilometers of yarn, and then all the way up to like 20 plus, which is ridiculous. I don't know how people do that, but anyway, I have often got the 3K goal, so 3,000 meters in that time frame. This knit along runs from May 28th until August 31st, I think. Yeah, should be right. I'll double check that and link it down below. I know it starts on May the 28th. I know that for sure. So basically, anything that you finish the knitting on or crochet on during that time frame, you can count the whole project towards your goal. So for example, the sweater that I'm working on, I'm not going to finish it until May 28th, which probably wouldn't happen anyway. And then that whole sweater, all of the yardage, meterage from that sweater is going to count towards my goal. So I think probably I'll stick with the 3K because that's a reasonable goal for me, but we'll see. Maybe I'll push myself for the 5. You can find all of the information about this knit along on their website, theknitgirls.com. The other knit along that I'm participating in is the Splash Pad Party from Boston Jen of the Downseller Studios podcast. Now she has an audio podcast and she also has some extra videos and stuff that she puts up on her YouTube channel. And you can find all of her stuff at downsellerstudios.com. And so the Splash Pad Party is a knit along, I believe. It goes for 2 months. Again, it's starting on May 28th, the same day as Dash Dash. So this is also good. And they do allow works in progress. I think there's some, you'll have to double check the rules on it, but I do think they allow works in progress if there's a certain percentage not done or something like that. So from May 28th to the end of July, and they have extra entries if you use a sponsored product and things like that. You can find all of those details on her website. And again, they are not doing this. There is chat threads and everything in Ravelry, but to actually submit for prizes, you can do it through her website. There's like a Google form that you fill out. So you have to fill out the form to enter the knit along so that they can keep track of your points. And then you just have to enter your projects when they're complete into a different Google form. And then there's a spreadsheet where they keep track of all of that stuff and keep everything. So you know how many entries you have and all that kind of stuff. And you know where you how much you've completed and all of that fun stuff. So it's very similar to the pigskin party that she did last year using Google Forms, which everybody's able to use. So there's that. So those are very, you can kind of knit or crochet whatever projects you're currently working on and then enter them. So you don't have, it's not something specific. Let's get back onto topic, shall we? So the Splash Pad Party, I think I gave you all the details for that. So again, you can just knit whatever strikes your fancy. I think for the Splash Pad Party, you get more entries, the smaller projects that you knit, but I never really pay attention to that. I have fun chatting with everybody and chit-chatting and seeing what everyone else is working on. It's just a fun time. The last knit along is my knit along, the Foolproof Summer Cow. And that is #Foolproof Summer Cow. And so I am going to be knitting the Foolproof by Louise Zazbangam. And hopefully I said your name right. 2 of my in-person knitting friends are also going to be joining me in this. And the prizes will be based on entries either from any sort of participation. So you don't need to finish it. If you participate, lovely. So you can either hashtag it in Instagram or put it, progress picture or chit chat on Ravelry. And this knit along will start June the 1st. So a couple weeks from now. So I've been prepping and thinking about what what yarn I want to use, and getting all of that stuff sorted. So what should we do first? First, we're going to do the prize yarn. So this yarn is something from my ancient stash. I don't know how old, but it just screamed summer to me. And this is Manos del Uruguay. I always get that wrong. Manos del Uruguay in Alegria. So it is a superwash merino and polyamide, 75% merino superwash and 25% polyamide. So it'd be good for socks or anything else that you want to do. It is a fingering weight, and I don't know what happened there. It's all flooped funny. Anyway, it's got blue and pink and red and yellow and purple. There's a little bit of green in there. It's hard to see. Super bright, fun summer colors. And this is a summer knit along. So this is going to be the prize. The colorway is called Locura Floro. I don't speak Spanish or Portuguese or whatever language this is in, and I'm sorry, but the yarn is beautiful. It's soft and squishy, and I hope that whoever wins it enjoys it. Again, to enter for this between June 1st and August 31st, any cowl that you work on is eligible for entry. Whether you just comment on somebody else's cowl or whether you post an Instagram of you knitting somewhere, whatever, I'm gonna pull from all of those places, and you'll be entered for each time you use that hashtag, Foolproof Summer Cow. All right, so you don't have to work on the foolproof, you can work on any cow. Hopefully that's clear as mud. So there's the prize. Next, I have two options for what I want to use for the yarn for the foolproof. I'm knitting the foolproof, but you guys can knit what you want. Option A is this Ancient Arts, and I bought these together at Knit City in some year in Vancouver. I don't remember. This is Arctic Midnight, and this is Weimaraner. I don't know. I bought these to go together to make a shawl, and I don't remember which shawl it was. I'm sure I thought of it at the time, but I really like them. This one does have like speckles of purple in it, and of course it's going to be very variegated with the purple, and then there's big blocks of cream and the dark teal and the light teal. Yeah, so. And this is their 75% superwash, extra fine merino, and 25% silk. So it will have some structure to it, but it's gonna have that fine merino. It's gonna have a beautiful drape to it, which is great for a cowl. And this is the same base. And this is just a gray. No, it's not just gray though, because like it's darker and lighter, and there's almost a bit of a brown, dark brown tinge to some areas, and yeah, anyway. So this is option number 1, the Ancient Arts yarn. So the foolproof is kind of striped in different ways, and you can stripe them however you want, or you can stripe it how she does it. Yeah, so that's option number 1. And then option number 2 is this. So this is Seaside Yarn and Button dyes their own yarn. The lady who dyed the yarn, who owned the store at the time, I don't think she owns the store anymore, so I'm not sure if they're still dyeing their own yarn. But I went to Souk on the Vancouver Island in BC, where this place is located, and I thought I would purchase some yarn that was hand dyed there. So super exciting. And so this is the yarn. It's hard to see, but there's blues and teals and purples. It's much more muted than the other color, and I thought that this light gray would go nicely with it. So, and this is Sea Turtle in her Ridley sock. I think it's just called Silver. I had 2 skeins of this, and I used a full skein plus a little bit more on the Spice Market shawl. And, but I have there's lots left here. So I thought that would be nice, a bit more muted, a bit more, I don't know. So that's option 2. So option 1 is Ancient Arts. This is option 2. You can vote below. I'll probably put a poll up on my Instagram stories as well, because that's a fun thing to do that I've never done before, and let's see, give that a shot. Yeah, so those are the two options. I was looking through my stash and I found about like 50 other options. So, but those are the two that I came down to. And because those I think will go best in my wardrobe for something that I will wear a lot with those colors. Blue tends to be my color of choice, even though my new shirt here is green, but also trying to branch out. So blue is definitely my favorite color, but you know. So option 1, Ancient Arts. Option 2, the Upsuke and the Sea Turtle. There you go. Think that's everything about the Foolproof Summer Cow. If I think of anything else, I'll add it in next time. We still got a couple weeks before it starts, from June 1st to August 31st. So now we're on to chatter. So I've been reading as usual. I'm still reading the Throne of Glass series. So I get these from the library, and they're very long books, and I'm not able to finish them in 21 days. So I'm not a very fast reader, and I generally read in the evening when I'm laying in bed. So some nights I only get a page or two done, and some nights I get like a whole chapter done. It depends on the evening, and sometimes I read on the weekend and just sit for a couple hours and read, but not very often. So I'm in the middle of book 5, and now it's been gone back to the library, and I've got 14 weeks before it comes back to me again. Well, what do you do? It's a popular book. I am also reading the Bridgerton series. I'm on book 4, I think. Yes, book 4. And it's by Julia Quinn. And I found this because of the Netflix series that was released based on the first book. So I started reading the books. I'm quite enjoying them. They're like a quick, easy read. You know, you don't need to pay attention a lot. I find the Throne of Glass books, there's a lot of detail, which is really great. Like, she explains everything really well and really painting a picture. The Bridgerton one is great, and I love reading it. I'm enjoying it so much. But there's just not the same kind of, I'm not transported to a completely different world, and I'm enjoying reading it as a nice kind of just way to turn off at the end of the night. That brings me to last weekend. We went camping. We spent a full 2 days out at Bear Creek, which is about an hour away from us. From that specific campsite we were at, you can quad right from there. And there's like a beginner's area where the kids can go and just do laps. And it was quite quiet for the campsite, although it was early in the season, but it was kind of nice that there wasn't that many people, and we just got to hang out with our friends. So we were on one campsite, but it was very big. If you kind of split it down the middle, all their stuff was on one side, all our stuff was on one side. So that way we were, being COVID friendly and all that kind of stuff. And we were able to go out quadding. The kids got to ride. We got to ride up to our favorite lookout, which I did record a little video at the top, and I will put that in at the end. I didn't record as much as I wanted to. I recorded a bit while we were going slower with the kids, but these trails are a lot windier, and my phone cut out, stopped recording, I think when I was in the middle of talking about camping. So I just talked about that we went up to our favorite lookout, and I recorded some of that. I didn't get a chance to record too much because the trails there are much windier than the other trails that I videoed before. And my machine is 50 inches and the trail width is 50 inches. So there's not much margin of error. I have to pretty much just follow the trails, and it takes a lot of concentration and definitely 2 hands on the wheels. So maybe I'll get Cooper to record some, because he usually sits next to me, and possibly we do have a GoPro that can be set up on my machine. I'm only worried about getting motion sickness from it because it is quite bumpy and choppy, and I think with the GoPro it might just be too jumpy around all over the place, and I don't want to give anyone motion sickness. because I have that and I don't want it on anyone. We definitely had a great time, and it was needed for us to get out of the house and just have a nice weekend. So we stayed there one night. So that was good, and all of the sleeping arrangements worked well. We've got a couple adjustments to do for next time, but not that big of a deal. And so yeah, thumbs up for camping. Lastly, we redid all of the planters out front of our house. So we have these half-barrel fiberglass planters that we've previously had plants in, as well as some cedars. Of course, the cedars didn't last long because the roots don't go down long enough. So we had to cut, those all died. We had to cut them down, take the roots out. We tried to get as much dirt as we could out of them and got some new dirt, and then we planted all of the annuals that I purchased. So I'll put in some pictures at the end of the planters. I think they look great. I'm hoping that they flourish and yeah, that they provide some beauty to the front of our house. The front of our house is mostly asphalt and rock, so it's nice to have a little color out there. And both of my neighbors have complimented me on them so far, so good job me. Well, it was a family effort. My husband did all the heavy lifting, and my kids did all of the scooping of the soil, and I, helped with all of it, but it was a family effort for sure. And they look great, and I'm super excited to see how much they grow over the summer. We now have an irrigation line, which we didn't have set up when I had flowers in there before. So the irrigation will run a couple times a day so we can make sure they're watered and stay alive. I'm not really great with keeping plants alive, even though I work for a landscaping place, but I do the books, I do the numbers, I don't do the plants. So I'm learning a lot. My coworkers have been super helpful in getting me on the right track to having some beautiful plants outside of my house. So I think that is everything for the day, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye. not COVID. Okay. Whew. Thank you. Oh dear. Ugh. Also not COVID. I feel like you have to say that every time you cough or sneeze or whatever. I have allergies to pollen, mostly grass and tree, which, you know, it's what's happening out in the world right now. Dust, all of that stuff. So I sneeze and sometimes I cough and I have a sore throat and I have runny eyes and none of that is COVID. Oh dear.